Hi everyone. Let's say goodbye to November and look back at all of the videos that happened in November, that month that I'm talking about. Things are a little bit weird and sparse back here. Look at the coming up video for December that'll be up tomorrow, I think. I'll go into it more there. Let's just recap November in case you missed any videos, any playthroughs and top 10s. Here is what happened. And there's links in the description as well in case you haven't seen them and you'd like to go straight to them. Stop this wittering and get me a playthrough. The description's where you'll find stuff. Patreon is going, we just got 100 patrons, and I'm really, really appreciative of everybody that watches and subscribes and all of those things, but especially Patreon is what keeps the whole thing going, and thank you so much to those 100 people. And if you would like to help me keep making things and you get to vote on playthroughs, it's the vote for December is going to start tomorrow if you're watching this the day that it goes up, but hey, it goes for a few weeks anyway, and you can join in Patreon anytime and help me make as many playthroughs as possible. Thank you for everyone that does it already. So, the playthroughs that happened. We had Welcome to New Las Vegas. Welcome to a roll and write game from, well, it's a flip and fill game with cards, but it's easy to just categorize them as roll and write games. From a couple of years ago that I absolutely loved, building these different streets of neighborhoods, having the kind of Quick's restriction of having to go in ascending order, or Quinto probably, where you can leave gaps, but if you leave too much of a gap or too little of a gap, you're going to mess yourself up. It's a really, really fantastic roll and write, and Welcome to New Las Vegas builds on that initial formula, but rather than just building a few streets, they're in an American-style grid, and so there are rewards for completing columns first. It's basically Welcome to kind of turned up as far as it'll go. There are limo rides around the city where you can go and see sights or take bribes from gangsters. There are the actual state of building some of these casinos in the first place, as well as the core of actually filling the numbers in. There's a golf course on the top row, and once you've put a number down, you don't want to leave any gaps because you can keep filling in these golf courses every time, but as soon as you leave a gap, you lose a load of them. It takes a bit to get to grips with. It even recommends in the rulebook you probably need to play Welcome to first before all of this stuff. But and we are fairly seasoned roll and writers, I would say. And for our first game, we were kind of like, whoa, this is a lot. But then we wanted to play it again straight away, and it was a lot easier after then, as you'd imagine. But Welcome to New Las Vegas. There is a playthrough that you can't really play along with it as well. You can. I'm not going to stop you. But there's a bit more kind of first to do this, get more points, even more than there was in Welcome to. So the scores would be a bit wonky, but hey, it's not about who wins, is it? You could still play along. Lost Ruins of Arnak is one of the two big SNE CGE games this year. This is the bigger box one, a kind of melding of deck building and worker placement where we are trying to uncover all these various exploration sites that are guarded by, guardians that you need to defeat for points and get special powers from them. You start with a very basic deck of cards and you'll be buying new ones, artifacts that will give you kind of bigger powers and different items that you buy with money to kind of beef up your deck and maybe thin out all of the useless cards, or maybe you just keep buying things and just hoping that you can draw loads of different things. It's not a deck builder where you'll constantly be going through that deck. It's more limited than that, but it's still got some deck buildery things like drawing more cards and thinning out your deck and stuff. And the actual worker placement spot is placing to discover these new sites. There are some basic spots where you get resources and things, but you will be discovering brand new ones that will get you better resources and more resources, but it will take some work to actually do that. And you're trying to progress along this track, at the most getting points from many, many other ways, but one of the core things is you're trying to race up this research track to try and discover the Lost Ruins of Arnak. And once you're there and you've got all of your bonuses along the way, you can keep buying these tiles with resources that are worth a ton of points. Lost Ruins of Arnak, it's a solo playthrough of that. Against the kind of bot that's simulating what another player might do, uncovering more of these sites, getting in your way, taking worker placement spots, racing up the research track. You can watch the playthrough of that. Kingdom Rush I covered for its Kickstarter a year ago, was it? It's a cooperative tower defense game. So enemies are constantly coming in, bombarding you, trying to get to the gates of the kingdom, and they will do damage to it and make you lose if they manage to destroy the gate. And it's our job as heroes to run around and build towers that will shoot them down before they manage to do that. Obviously, loads of different heroes with different abilities, different scenarios, let you take different numbers of abilities in, and it's up to you how you combine these things based on the heroes that you have got. Loads of different enemy powers, enemies that move faster, enemies that heal the whole thing, enemies that take up more than one space on this grid, so they're harder to defeat and they'll do more damage if they manage to make it to the end. Because rather than being a kind of game based around hit points, the hordes that are coming at you are in these grids, and the damage that you do in this game is polyomino shapes, Tetris-y kind of shapes. The towers will shoot Tetris S's and stuff, and so will your attacks. They'll do little cubes or little 3x1s, and it's a cooperative puzzle of trying to figure out how best to place all of these pieces, where we put our towers based on our restrictions. I haven't even played through half of the campaign yet, and already kind of, even just in the basic thing, I know it's got a ton of different expansions, and yeah, really, well, we loved the prototype with its, I think, 2 scenarios, so yeah, really wowed by the final thing, and hope to see more of that, because it's tower defense is quite a good category anyway, but combined with this kind of, I can't really think of something else that's in cooperative polyominoes. Maybe there is that I can't think about. But Kingdom Rush, definitely worth checking out. But all of these are. Amerigo is kind of the classic. I think there was a classic vote 1 month, and Amerigo won. Stefan Feld's beautiful cube tower game, where our actions in a round are decided by dropping this huge number of action cubes into a cube tower. It's got various little slots and shelves inside that will hold some cubes and let others go. And each phase you'll grab all of the sailing cubes, drop them in the tower again, and whatever comes out, it's likely to be not as many as you dropped in, but there'll be some other colours mixed in now. Whatever comes out is what people get to do this round. So rather than it being this completely random thing, which that cube tower could be, it is random, but everybody is getting that same thing. It's kind of your offering of the actions that you can get to do. And so, yeah, luck has a part in it, especially if you are really desperate to kind of stave off pirates and stuff. But yeah, it's an absolutely beautiful action mechanism, as a lot of fantastic Stefan Feld games are. And from this thing, we're going to be sailing around these islands, trying to discover them. You get points for putting ports down, especially if you're the first person to do it. We are grabbing polyomino tiles and placing them on the islands to score points and try and claim goods as well. And as well as getting the goods, you want production to multiply your scores together. You can get abilities throughout the game that will boost your ability to do particular actions and stave off the pirates more, because pirates are going to attack at the end of each round. But is this going to be based on the random tiles that we got face down? Is this going to be a game where pirates are really weak and I've wasted my time? Or is this going to be a game where pirates are ridiculously strong and I haven't bothered bolstering my defenses yet? It's an absolutely fantastic game. And yeah, there is a playthrough for it now, a 2-player playthrough. 2 players for Kingdom Rush as well, I forgot to mention that. Rococo Deluxe Edition. Rococo is an absolutely fantastic game that's been out of print for years now, I think. Its original version from Eggerspiel, was it? But then Eggerspiel got bought and there's all stuff going on behind the scenes probably. Anyway, it's back after a great big absence. Rococo is one of the first videos I did. I think it's in like the first 10 videos I ever did. And here we are seeing it like, I think 410. But yeah, it was one of my first ones. And it was the first one, I think, that I ever did 2-player. First appearance of Little Glass Marty, I think. I have to go back and check, but I've got to... It's a little bit rough going back and watching some of the old videos, for me anyway. But yeah, I did a 2-player playthrough because the Jewelry Box expansion had just come out. I don't think anyone had a video at the time. I was just excited to show it off. And yeah, the Jewelry expansion kind of just disappeared. I don't think it really got a very wide release, and then the game itself seemed to go out of print. So now it's all back. This deluxe edition from Eagle Griffin, who do the Vital Lacerda. Not only are they out of shot, they're not even on these shelves anymore, but yeah, they do the beautiful Vino Scalarist Vital Lacerda beautiful deluxe editions with Ian O'Toole's graphic design. Ian O'Toole is on Rococo Deluxe Edition as well. So the art has all been changed, although it was beautiful already from Michael Menzel on the original version. It includes everything, basically. It includes the Jewelry Box expansion, all the little promos, festivity dresses, fancy dress. It's got a new mini expansion called Expert Tailoring that's just adds a few new dresses and twists and turns, different bonuses for having built a dress rather than just the standard money or points. And it's just a fantastic kind of area majority game that we're not really that big on in particular, but the theme is fantastic of it. I think a very unusual theme that we are designing dresses for this great big lavish French ball. And the kind of hierarchy of staff, you've got a deck of cards. Everyone's got the same deck of cards of master what I was trying to think, master tailors, masters, journeymen, and then apprentices. And based on their level of experience, it limits the actions that they can do. A master will do anything, and certain dresses can only be made by a master. And the master is the only person that can hire staff. And then the apprentice, on the other hand, the apprentice isn't going to get an audience with the queen and get her favour. These people going to this lavish ball where the king is hopefully going to be in attendance, they're not going to wear something made by an apprentice, thank you very much. But then the jewellery box adds jewellery to add with the dresses for more income and more points, and also adds this mechanism where your apprentices and then journeymen can take exams by taking particular actions, and you basically get rid of your apprentice card and grab a new journeyman card from this expanded new deck of them. Rococo was already fantastic. I think this is presented beautifully. What's the first impressions? I'm rehashing the first impressions here. It's a beautiful, beautiful presentation, and yeah, although it's going to be more expensive because it's this lavish deluxe edition, it is everything and expansions on top, and it's got the usual beautiful resources, thick tiles, absolutely great production, and Rococo can be back on the streets. I don't know, back on your table. There we go, that's better. Next, Hallertau, the big Uwe Rosenberg game of this year. And of the last few years, really. Surprised to learn when I did my top 10 anticipated Essen games list that Hallertau is the first expert level, is what Lookout Games call them now. It's the first expert level game since A Feast for Odin, which was 4 years ago now. Absolutely love Feast for Odin. I've raved enough about that in the past and its expansion. But yeah, how time has flown since then. And surprised that there hasn't been one in between. But now this is the other great big Uwe game. Not other one, there's loads of them, isn't there? But it's, while on paper just kind of describing the stuff to you, we're farming, we're getting sheep, we're placing workers, we've got all of these cards. I think just describing it sounds like, yeah, Uwe Rosenberg's designed quite a few of them. But yeah, somehow the way this is actually implemented, the kind of ability to play cards often at any time, even in other players' turns. Sometimes the cards hinge on particular things happening on the board. A lot of the cards want you to have things rather than spend them. So they kind of influence the way that you are playing. But then a lot of cards beget other cards. So they kind of, while they don't hold you on rails, they give you all of these opportunities if you're willing to slightly diverge from the path that you think you are going on. It's absolutely fantastic. It's one of the best of the year, I think. We've still got a month to go, but yeah, it's getting to the point where that list's got to be made, hasn't it? Hallertau, absolutely fantastic. Although this is a pretty solid kind of list for a month, I think. And then finally, Under Falling Skies, which is the other CGE SNE release of the year. A solo game, although it can be played cooperatively, where aliens are coming down, we need to defeat them. We're going to do it with dice placement. The aliens are on this grid at the top of this long board. Our placement spaces are at the bottom. You need to place a die in every column. You place a die in a column to activate a room. The higher the value on the die, mostly, the better that room is going to work, the more it's going to do. But say I put a 6 in the energy room to generate 6 energy, well, any aliens in that column are going to move down 6 spaces closer to Earth. And if they make it down here, they'll do a damage. You've only got a limited amount of damage. So it's that push and pull between wanting really powerful actions, but not wanting to be destroyed by aliens. There are ways to destroy them as well, but they will keep respawning. It just kind of makes them go back to the top rather than finish them off forever. It's a really beautiful mechanism. You've got this kind of limited dice placement spots at the start, but you've got an excavator that you can also activate with dice to kind of uncover more of this underground bunker of rooms. And you need to do that, really. The win condition is to do this research track with all sorts of variable steps where you can jump up a load of steps in one go if you manage to generate enough research, but you'll be taking baby steps to start with, and then the last steps are usually great big things, so you'll need a great big room to activate that in, so you'll have to do a bit of excavating. You'll probably want to do a bit of everything to try and survive in this. Just the kind of base game, I think it's got like 4 different cities with different powers and things, and the cities have their own configuration of these bunker tiles. The bunker tiles are in 2 halves, and it tells you which combinations to use. Loads of different difficulty settings for the sky tiles themselves, which will have kind of nastier surprises when this mothership starts coming down, or maybe less opportunities to destroy the aliens. You can increase that difficulty as you get better, but all of that kind of seems like enough in a game. But Under Falling Skies has then got this great big scenario mode, this great big kind of storyline going through it, that in each chapter of this scenario mode you will kind of, I don't want to spoil anything that's in there, but you will have different rules, maybe new cities. You have your characters helping you out with particular abilities and a load of stuff that it's not legacy, it's all completely resettable, but a kind of different path based on all these decisions that you made while you are playing surprisingly different versions of the game. Under Falling Skies. I did one playthrough of the kind of basic thing, not wanting to spoil anything that's in the actual scenarios themselves, but yeah, see how I get on in Under Falling Skies. As well as all the playthroughs, we had 2 top 10s this month, which is good because they're going to be later. They're going to be late this month. Top 10 cooperative games, which actually is quite an old one. I still had a sling on there from when I had a shoulder hurt, a shoulder injury. But yeah, I remembered to put that up. My favourite cooperative games. And more recently, just the other day, top 10 overlooked games, where games that I think deserve a little bit more love. And because I haven't done playthroughs for most of them, it took a lot longer than most top 10s because I was getting them all out, setting them up and filming bits of them. Yeah, it took forever. While I think it turned out pretty well, I don't know if I'll have time to do that for all of them. I'll just say, if any Patreons watching, it's going to be a double top 10 vote in December to make up for the kind of lateness of the one in November. But hey, we'll talk about that more in the coming up December video, and we'll explain all of this business and why it's all echoey and stuff. Does it come across echoey on camera? I don't know. Anyway, more stuff coming in December. Exciting things. Top 10 of the year. Loads more brand new games to play. What will get played through? Who knows? Find out tomorrow, hopefully, in the coming up video. Thank you for watching this, though, and I hope to see you for many, many playthroughs. Bye.